Hello everyone. So in this particular video we are going to understand about the inheritance. Inheritance is one of the concept of object oriented programming that allows one class to reuse the property and method of another class. What is inheritance? It allows one class to reuse the property and method of another class. So suppose you have a two class. First class is class A and the second class is class B. In a class A I have defined one method val. Similarly in a class B I have defined one method val1. Now my requirement is like whatever the property and method which is available in a class A, right, that I want to have in a class B also. So instead of again writing this all the method in a class B, what actually we can do, we can use a inheritance object. So in the case of inheritance, what actually we can do in a child, in the child class. So this is a child class. You can inherit the property of a parent class. So suppose this is a parent class. So whatever the property which is available into this class A, right, I can inherit it by using the inheritance method. So how actually we can define a class? First you have to write class name, and you want to inherit this class property, right? So you can use a this particular class name. Now what actually I will do now in this case, you have to create only one object, that is a B. So suppose you have created one object name as a obj, and this particular class you have to call B. Now from this object you can call this method also, object1 dot val1. If I write, I can call this method that is available in a class B, but you can also call the whatever the method is available in a class A also. So in a class A we have a val method, right? I can call that also. You can see val method. So what actually we are doing, we are inheriting the property and method which is available in a class A into class B. So that is the inheritance concept. So instead of writing again this all the code, what actually we can do, we can use the inheritance concept. In that case you have to create only one object, and from that object you can inherit the property from another class also. So that is the inheritance concept. Now let's see about the multi-level inheritance. Multi-level inheritance. In a multi-level inheritance, what actually we can do? We can inherit the property from one class to another class. So in this case, you can see only we had a two class. One is the class A, second is the class B. From a parent class, we were inheriting the property in a child class. Now suppose you have a three class. This is my first class, class A. Similarly, I will define another class. Similarly, I will define another class. So I have defined a three class. The first class name is a class A, then B, then C, and this I will give the val3. Now what actually I want to do? Whatever the property of class A I want to inherit into the B. So what actually I can write? Class B, open a bracket, and you can write A. Similarly, whatever the properties available in a B, right? So I want to inherit into the C. So I can write a B. Now when I am writing this class C and B, right? So this class C is having a property of class B, and this class B is having a property of class A. Means I will create only one object. Suppose I will create only one object, that is a C, and I can inherit the property of a class B, and the class B already having property of class A. So if I write object1 dot val3, I will be able to call this method. You can see val method, and let me give val3 method. Now suppose I will write object dot, this method also I can call. So let me call val4, object dot val4. You can see this method I am also able to call. Now from this object itself I can call this method also. If I write object dot val, you can see I am able to call that also. In this case, what actually happening, this class C is having a class B is inherited the property of class A, and class C inherit the property of a class B. So in a multi-level inheritance is happening. So that is the concept of a multi-level. Similarly, we have a multiple inheritance concept. What actually we have? We also have a multiple inheritance concept. Now in this case, what actually we do? Suppose we have a three class. Suppose we have a three class. In a class C, what actually I want? I want to inherit the property of class A and B. So what actually I can write? Class C, I can write A and B. So what actually I am saying, in a class C only I want to inherit the property of a class A also and the class B also. So this is a multiple inheritance concept. Now in this case also, what actually we can do, we only have to create one object for the this class, and we can inherit the property of class A also and class B also. If I'll execute, you can see it is working. In the case of the multiple inheritance, what actually was happening in a multi-level inheritance, one class is having a one class inherit the property of another class. Similarly, another class inherit the property of another class. So in a multi-level inheritance is happening. But in the case of the multiple inheritance, one class inheriting the property of from a multiple classes. Like from class A also it is inheriting, from class B also inheriting. So that is a multiple inheritance. I hope you got the idea. Please do practice. You will get a better idea.